If the sky is falling, no one is exempt. This isn't just a metaphor. It's a profound reality we're witnessing unfold in our time. The events we've explored so far, the Kuwaiti Crown Prince controversy, the symbolic actions within the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the undeniable truth about Yahusha points to a larger inescapable shift. No nation, no religion, no individual stands outside the scope of what's happening. As we delve deeper into the third and final part of this series, we confront the implications of a world in transition, where veils are being lifted and truths long hidden are emerging with unmistakable clarity. The sky isn't just falling, it's tearing open to reveal the light of what is to come. The question remains, are you prepared to see it? Without much ado, let's continue our deep dive into the symbolic visual cues in the opening ceremony of the crossover boxing match titled The Battle of the Baddest. This event was more than just a grand display of athletic prowess and entertainment. It carried layers of meaning embedded in its choreography, imagery, and symbolism. From the deliberate use of celestial themes to the nuanced references to power and divine authority, every element of the ceremony seems to hint at a broader narrative, one that transcends the boxing ring. It wasn't mere spectacle, it was a carefully curated message signaling a shift in global consciousness and spiritual awakening. As we peel back the layers, we will uncover the hidden truths embedded in this pivotal moment and connect them to the overarching storyline of this unfolding revelation. Right here on stage, we see an unexpected face, an underground English grime MC known as Flodan, performing a track titled Rumble. This song, a collaboration with Skrillex and Fred again, was surprising enough in this setting, but wait till you hear the lyrics. Big on the no disrespect to Flodan, but it makes you wonder, why would a black 44-year-old lesser-known grime artist, who only broke into the UK's top 20 single chart through a feature just recently in 2023, be chosen to open a world-class event of this scale? And the choice of the song as well? It's definitely a curious choice, one that only adds to the question surrounding the event's intentions. Yet, perhaps the real surprise comes after. Rumble went on to secure an award at the 2024 Grammys. Coincidence? Or could there be something more hidden behind these choices? You'd have my opinion whether or not you ask, and here it is. They are indirectly telling us that we won't see what is coming in the near future. It's almost as if through these choices, like putting an unexpected artist center stage, they are dropping hints about things we can't yet understand. A subtle message that something is approaching, and when he arrives, it will be anything but predictable. As I said earlier, the stage is the wall, covered by the knowledge of God, the water, which also represents the bride of Christ. Flodan begins his performance, dressed entirely in black and standing in the middle of the water, representing divine truth and the bride of Christ. His visual representation immediately stands out as white lights flicker above him, casting an almost ethereal glow and adding to the profound symbolic weight of his presence. The choice of black is striking, and not merely because of its contrast to the illuminated stage. It directly alludes to the melanated identity of the bride of Christ, challenging long-held narratives and revealing a deeper layer of the divine symbolism unfolding on this stage. Flodan's identity as a person of color aligns with this representation, emphasizing that the bride of Christ is a melanated individual, a revelation that radically reshapes traditional interpretations within Christian circles. His attire and identity reinforce the notion of divine authority, breaking through conventional boundaries, reclaiming the truth of Yahusha's backing for a new regime of power on earth. We already talked about how much of a misfit Flodan is in the context of this event, but the lyrics and message of the song Rumble perfectly fits the narrative that's been pushed here. It'll make a whole lot of sense to examine it. The recurring phrase is a declaration, a forewarning of the transformation that is about to take place. This rumble is no ordinary sound. It signifies the shaking of the current world system as the bride, empowered by the bridegroom Yahusha, steps into our ordained role. The line, run for them life when I step into the jungle. Run for them life when I step into the jungle, paints a vivid picture of the bride entering the world stage, symbolized by the chaotic jungle and disrupting the existing power structures. The jungle represents the falling world and its systems of control, and the imagery of fleeing underscores the fear and instability our presence provokes among the elites and forces of darkness. In Never Gonna Win a Royal Rumble, the message becomes even clearer. No earthly power, no matter how formidable, can overcome the divine authority now embodied by the bride of Christ. The phrase encapsulates the futility of resisting this new order. It's a proclamation that the time of deception and oppression has come to an end. Furthermore, the phrase also aligns with the biblical teaching in Ephesians 6:12, which emphasizes that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual forces of darkness. Very unlike what we're made to think, these spiritual forces are not some red-hot flaming devils. They are the queens and the kings of this world, the princes, the Pope in the Vatican, and the emirs and their sheikdom, the sheikhs and the obas in their kingdom. This truth, which I explored in my video titled The Rulers of Darkness, reinforces the idea that the ultimate victory belongs to Yah's divine authority. The refrain,
Killers in the jungle. Killers in the jungle.
Killers in the jungle reveal the bride's authority over those who once ruled with hidden agendas and dark schemes. It's not just a call-out, it's an assertion of dominance over the forces that have long kept humanity in bondage. The playful yet pointed line,
The war's getting sweet just like a Ribena.
the war's getting sweet just like a Ribena, signifies the bittersweet nature of this shift. For those aligned with the bride and Yahusha, there's the sweetness of victory and freedom. For the opposing forces, however, it's the bitter reality of their impending defeat. Finally, the lyric, DJ pull up the tune, burn up the room, straight to the moon again, symbolizes the bride taking control of the narrative. The DJ could represent the powers that once dictated the world's direction, but now the bride is burning away their influence, replacing it with divine truth. Straight to the moon signifies the transcendence of this new regime over the previous order. It's unstoppable, divine, and destined to ascend. This is what the new earth is about, a transformation unlike anything humanity has ever seen. It's not just a reshuffling of the old ways, it's the end of them. If you really think about it, what is genuinely new under the sun? Humanity has endured unimaginable horrors, 2 world wars, countless conflicts from cold to hot, the advent of the British Crusaders and the Spanish Inquisition, pandemics, economic collapses, natural disasters, the Holocaust, the transatlantic slave trade, the destruction of African civilization, and the systemic manipulation of the masses, especially the people of color. And now, we're standing in the middle of the Third World War, teetering on the brink of a nuclear holocaust. This new order must be something radically different, an end to the madness that has plagued humanity for centuries. It's a divine intervention, not a continuation of the chaos, and it represents the ultimate restoration of truth and justice as prophesied by Isaiah in the 11th chapter. The staging reinforces these themes. Flodan dressed in black and standing in the water, the symbol of divine truth and the bride of Christ, commands the scene. The flickering white lights above him reflect Yahusha's presence, illuminating and empowering the bride as she takes her rightful place in this cosmic narrative. This performance, much like the event itself, is far from coincidental. Every symbol, lyric, and visual element aligns with the larger message. The bride of Christ, the divine feminine, is stepping into power, backed by Yahusha, to usher in the divine regime that will shake the foundations of the earth. This is what the whole shift is about. The symbolic visual cues continue to unfold, each one more deliberate than the last. There's so much to unbox here, but for the sake of clarity, I'll stick to the key details that further illustrate my point. It's in this seemingly subtle moments, through lighting, stage design and choreography, that the deeper layers of meaning begin to emerge. Let's take a closer look. At this point in the ceremony, 2 powerful symbols, the sun and the water, are merged seamlessly. The stage, representing water, now reflects an image of the sun, creating a striking visual, the sun shining on the water. This isn't just a random artistic choice, it's deliberate. It signifies the moment when the bride, standing in the middle of this union, performs, not just as an entertainer, but as a representation of divine intention, making it known to the world. As Flodan performs, flanked by dancers dressed in striking red, the stage transforms into a fiery battlefield. The red outfits, amplified by the stage lightning, designed to mimic flames, fire, and molten lava, undeniably represents the opposition, the oppressors, those who have long held sway over the world. Yet, their placement on the reflective water stage creates an imagery of being consumed by the very truths they sought to suppress. The interplay of light and color here is deliberate. The fiery reds evoke resistance and conflict, while the shimmering water beneath them symbolizes divine truth, steadily overcoming the old order. This visual reinforces the bride's emergence as the one calling the shots, ushering in a new unstoppable regime. As I've pointed out before, the sun and the water are more than mere visuals. They are the handler's distinct social signature. Anyone who followed my post on IG would recognize these connections immediately, as countless examples have already proven the deliberate use of these emojis to signal something deeper. As the performance concludes, the visual symbolism reaches its crescendo. Flodan, standing tall at the center of the stage, is bathed in a single radiant white beam of light. His outstretched arms exude authority, resembling a figure of divine ascendancy or victorious proclamation. Around him, the dancers, once active participants in red, symbolizing the opposition, are now kneeling and sprawled across the stage, their postures suggesting submission or defeat. The fiery red backdrop intensifies the atmosphere, evoking themes of judgment, purification, and the end of an era. The striking tableau encapsulates the performance's overarching narrative, the establishment of a new order, where the bride of Christ, under divine backing, reigns supreme alongside Yahusha, the bridegroom. The subdued dancers reinforce the futility of resisting this shift, underscoring the complete transformation that has taken place. It's a visual declaration that the time for deception and oppression has ended, and the divine truth is now fully revealed. As the stage transitioned from Flodan's fiery red to an ominous blue, the atmosphere didn't just shift, It transformed, immersing the audience into a symbolic narrative waiting to be unraveled. The rumble of thunder was more than sound. It was a prelude, a signal to pay attention, with the blue lighting drenching the arena in its ethereal glow. Every pulse seemed intentional, every flicker deliberate. In this next performance by Lil Baby, I'd just like to emphasize the imagery of thunderstorms, lightning, and color blue, which was predominant all through the performance. Behind the performance, the storm imagery began subtly, almost literally like whispers in the dark. Tiny veins of light stretched across the canvas of night, growing bolder with each second. The storm didn't just evolve, it commanded with each strike, illuminating the stage in radiant bursts. This wasn't mere stagecraft, it was a visual proclamation and unveiling of a deeper message. Blue, a hue resonating with Yahusha's essence, embodied calm strength and boundless power. The thunderstorm, often interpreted as his voice, carried a message that transcended the moment. This motif wasn't appearing for the first time, it had been foreshadowed. Think back to the post on my Instagram. It just so happened that we had posted the same blue thunderbolt splitting the darkness on 27th of October 2023, a day before the show, and other ones like this, with captions like, "Let's paint the world blue." Coincidence? Hardly. Those posts now take on new meaning, pieces of puzzles whose edges are coming into focus in this performance. This moment wasn't simply music or theatrics, it was a revelation unfolding in real time. The audience, consciously or not, bore witness to something far greater than what appeared on stage. Each flash of lightning, each surge of blue light was a marker, a reminder, a calling to higher awareness. Yahusha's signature was everywhere, unmistakable, undeniable, eternal. It was as if the heavens themselves were speaking through the storm, challenging the onlookers to see the deeper truths hidden within the spectacle. As Lil Baby's performance concludes, the stage descends into darkness, drawing the audience's focus to a central illuminated ring, a glowing orange circle that hints at the energy about to unfold. The stillness and the darkness surrounding the ring carry a sense of anticipation, representing a transition from one era to another. Suddenly, beams of light converge, revealing a towering structure. The cube-like form, decorated with grids of illuminated squares, becomes a striking centerpiece. This geometric precision and its radiant glow signal a shift, a new phase of the narrative. The cube embodies order, unity, and a sense of foundation, preparing the world, the stage, for the bride of Christ's symbolic representation. With Becky G's entrance, the cube transforms, glowing a vibrant yellow, the color symbolic of the bride. The golden hue envelopes the stage, signifying her radiance and centrality. As the cube rotates, dancers clad in harmonious shades of yellow bring the scene to life with synchronized movements, mirroring the bride's influence in shaping the world around her. Becky G's commanding vocals resonate through the venue as she performs Rotate, underscoring the theme of change and the bride's pivotal role in orchestrating this new era. Notice how Becky G is wearing the same vibrant yellow as her dancers, contrasting with Flodan and his group, where individuality was emphasized. This coordinated choice of color is creating a sense of unity and harmony, reinforcing the collective energy of her performance. The sun imagery is still appearing here in the background, but it's taking another form, showcased through the intricate graphic images glowing with radiant light and echoing the sun's symbolism of life, renewal, and divine presence. As the performance progresses, something intriguing is emerging within the soundscape of the song, the unmistakable timbre of Burna Boy's voice. It's subtle, almost hidden, like an echo weaving through the arrangement, yet its presence adds a collaborative depth to the narrative. This nuanced detail could easily be overlooked without careful listening. Upon closer investigation, I discovered that the original song features Burna Boy prominently, but his part has been deliberately removed from this performance, leaving only a faint trace of his ad-lipping. This omission feels deliberate, almost as if it's a clue, enriching the layers of symbolism and mystery surrounding the presentation. Listen closely. This detail holds more weight than it first appears. I didn't initially realize that this particular song by Becky G actually features Burna Boy. It was during the process of analyzing the performance and writing this part of the scripts that I decided to look up the song on Apple Music, and that's when I discovered his feature. The subtle inclusion of his voice in the performance feels deliberate, almost like a whisper of something deeper, especially since there is no way this event would have concluded without a nod to Nigeria, acknowledging the bride's place of origin. After all, Nigeria holds a central role in the unfolding grand narrative of this time and season. By the time I release the Nigerian factor on a global scale, you will understand why this reference carries such weight. The handler and I made this post on October 30th, 2023, as an acknowledgement of the Battle of the Baddest event. At the time, it carried a deeper significance that we documented for future reference, significance that is now proving to be more than timely. Every detail in that post, from the symbolic visual to the carefully selected emojis, pointed to the unveiling of a profound message tied to unfolding global events. And as we acknowledge these layers, the foresight embedded in that acknowledgement becomes impossible to ignore. The official poster for the fight says it's Riyadh season, just maybe more like a seasonal movie. Trust me, they always give you all the right reasons. The date of the event is also encrypted with deep meaning, which stems from the date formats they decide to use and the particular dates they choose. 28-10-23 in this case can be broken down to 10-10-5, which sums up to 25. It can be further broken down to 5 in 5 places. The number 5 represents the bride of Christ. Then, in 5 places, further emphasizes her importance and reputation. In the first slide of the post-caption King of Kings on his official Instagram page, we see Tyson Fury in a standing pose, adorned in a majestic crown, decked out in a rich red and gold robe with a cloak. The rich red robe symbolizes power, wealth, and prestige, elevating him to royalty and warrior status, while also representing readiness for battle. It embodies both majesty and divine favor, setting the wearer apart with honor and authority, reflecting both earthly and divine distinction. Fury's stance, with his right fist clenched and his left hand forming the sign of the cross, is laden with profound symbolism. It mirrors the imagery of a powerful ruler issuing commands and proclaiming decrees, reminiscent of depictions of Salvatore Mundi, the savior of the world. His calm yet commanding gaze reinforces the image of control, authority, and mastery over the unfolding narrative. The posture deliberately encapsulates a message of dominion and salvation intertwined, further elevating the layers of meaning within the event. Here, we witness a deliberate recreation of the iconic Salvatore Mundi imagery, with Tyson Fury mirroring the signature hand gesture of the savior. His pose, combined with the event's framing, unmistakably draws parallels to the King of Kings, a title that exclusively belongs to Yahusha HaMashiach. This intentional symbolism becomes undeniable when we consider the title of the post accompanying this moment, King of Kings. The deeper significance is further amplified as the show progresses, weaving these cues into the larger narrative. This visual and thematic connection serve not only as a bold declaration, but also as a testament to the layers of meaning embedded within this event. The implication is clear. The orchestration of this imagery was no coincidence, but a statement that reverberates through the unfolding story. The breastplate symbolizes protection, righteousness, and divine integrity, acting as both physical and spiritual armor, while also representing the wearer's responsibility to uphold justice and leadership. It just so happens that the Bible also talks about the breastplate in a context that perfectly fits into the narrative. The Bible talks about the breastplate of judgment, Exodus 28:15-30. If you haven't seen my video titled The Judgment of the Church, please do so ASAP. The breastplate of righteousness, Ephesians 6:14. Breastplate of faith and love, 1 Thessalonians 5:8. In the course of making this video, I found another scripture, and it just so happens that I've used the verse from that particular chapter in the book of Isaiah as a post caption on the 25th of October 2023, and more recently on the 30th of October 2024. Following day, I was prompted to read the whole of Isaiah's 11th chapter, which I did, only for me to see the recurrence of the judgment, righteousness, and faith themes. At the same time, I was working on the part of the script where I talked about breastplate. Verses 4 and 5 of Isaiah 11 basically talks about judgment, righteousness, and faithfulness in that same order. Isaiah 11 is traditionally attributed to the prophet Isaiah, who is speaking under divine inspiration. This chapter is a prophetic vision of the messianic era of peace and justice. In this chapter, Isaiah speaks of a shoot from the stump of Jesse, referring to a future descendant of King David, Jesse's son. This figure is described as a ruler filled with wisdom, understanding, and the spirit of Yahuwah. Someone who would rule with justice, defend the oppressed, and restore harmony. This prophecy is often interpreted by Christians as referring to Jesus, the Messiah, while Jewish tradition generally views it as a future anointed king who will establish peace and righteousness. In the third slide of the post titled King of Kings, the challenger and former UFC heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou, is introduced, stepping into the boxing ring for the first time. This pivotal image transcends the physicality of sports, unfolding as a symbolic confrontation between two contrasting figures of power, faith, and destiny. In this narrative, Francis Ngannou emerges as a counterbalance to Tyson Fury. While Fury's gestures exude divine rulership, Ngannou's seated position embodies a complex duality, dominion mixed with a looming sense of transition. Draped in robes of gold and navy, colors associated with Salvatore Mundi and Yahusha, blue symbolizing divine purity, Ngannou paradoxically wears the mantle of Fury's symbolism. Meanwhile, Fury, standing tall, embodies Ngannou's intended colors of red and gold, shades tied to earthly kingship, power, and passion. This deliberate color switch destabilizes perception, creating a moment of symbolic disorientation to challenge viewers' assumptions about authority and identity. Ngannou's seated pose, fist pressed against his chin, suggests both contemplation and unease. The throne he occupies symbolizes a temporal reign nearing its end, as the visual juxtaposition between his reflective stance and Fury's upright confidence evokes the cyclical nature of power. One figure ascends, while the other faces inevitable decline. The intentional color reversal deepened this dynamic, visually blurring the lines between earthly and divine sovereignty. leaving viewers to wrestle with what each figure truly represents. The robes themselves amplify the tension. Ngannou's gold and navy attire, meant to signify salvation and divine inheritance, clashes with his mortal vulnerability, reinforcing the inevitability of change. Conversely, Fury's red and gold hints at the fiery passion and material dominance traditionally ascribed to kings of the earth, yet his gesture and upright stance proclaim spiritual authority. The interplay reflects a broader metaphysical theme, the inversion of expectation as divine purpose challenges and ultimately redefines worldly power. In the grand storyline, this imagery underscores the dethronement of earthly kings to pave the way for divine rulership. Ngannou, though regal and formidable, represents the waning authority of temporal kingship, his throne poised to be overtaken by the Salvatore Mundi. Fury's ascension, marked by the colors of salvation and his resolute stand, signals the arrival of a higher divine order. This visual and symbolic dissonance enriches the narrative, where power, identity, and faith converge in an epic clash of worlds. The event's ring walks served as the final opportunity for the organizers to convey their profoundly layered messages to the masses. Each detail, the music, the costumes, the symbols, was meticulously crafted to align with the overarching narrative, weaving together themes of faith, power, and impending transformation. Tyson Fury's choice of music, Jolene by Dolly Parton, felt entirely off, and a misfit for the grandeur of a heavyweight boxing event. Yet, when examined through the symbolic lens of the narrative, this unconventional selection subtly aligns with the deeper themes. Its pleading tone and undertone of struggle echo the role of the bride who must endure in battle. The apparent mismatch itself becomes part of the message, a dissonance that draws attention to the layered symbolism at play. Fury, representing the bride, steps into the role of the one who must face the battle, echoing the themes in Flodan's Rumble. This portrayal underscores the idea that the bride is called to engage in spiritual warfare. On Fury's costume, the figure 316 stands prominently, a subtle yet unmistakable reference to John 3:16 in the Bible. For Yahuwah so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Though the organizers refrain from explicitly naming the verse, its implication is a no-brainer, as it seamlessly aligns with the event's overarching narrative. It serves as a proclamation of divine love and salvation, pointing directly to Yahusha and reinforcing the event's spiritual undertones. Francis Ngannou's performance in the ring, highlighted by his ability to knock down Fury, carries its own symbolic weight. While it was a remarkable feat, it ultimately represented a desperate struggle, a fight for his survival in the face of an inevitable end. Ngannou's effort mirrors the final frantic resistance of earthly powers before the arena gives way to the divine. His knockdown of Fury, though impactful, is symbolic of temporal strength that can momentarily shake but not overthrow divine sovereignty. The split decision victory for Fury encapsulates the duality of the moment. It's not a clean triumph, just as the earthly and divine realms are not in simple opposition. Instead, it's a transition, a recognition that while the earthly king fights valiantly, the divine narrative remains unstoppable. Ngannou's fall in the end signals the acknowledgement of this truth. The fight may be fierce, but the outcome is preordained. Through these symbolic acts, the organizers deliver a clear message. The era of worldly dominion is fading, and the rise of divine kingship is at hand. From the music choices to the scriptural references and the fighters' performances, the event becomes more than a sport. It's a profound allegory of faith, salvation, and the ultimate triumph of Yahusha HaMashiach. And so, as the dust settles in the ring, the story finds its conclusion. It's not merely the end of a boxing match or a narrative. It's an enduring reminder of what's to come, calling the audience to reflect on the eternal truths laid bare in the spectacle. Peace, love, and positive vibration to the sons. Yahusha is king.